So I got another SLHF750 Sony Betamax in for service from the same customer that had the SLHF400, packed with shipping peanuts, so I'm sure this one's packed to the hilt with them again. Complaint on this one is it has a bad picture. Let's check this one out. Another unit to put me in a bad mood before I even start. More bloody packing peanuts. This one's got the foams around it as well, and they still managed to put in all these stupid packing peanuts, which are just going to get all over the place. This time I got another, what is this one? This is another HF750, another SLHF750. That's two of them in a week. Let's see what's wrong with this one. This one says good load and unload, but picture has interference in bright areas. Yeah, this could be bad heads. And because this one was shipped, he put the transport screws in. On these units, there were transport screws that you put into the back that protected the mechanism from moving when it was transported. The other one was delivered. Same guy that owned both. He sent me the 300 that I worked on and the other 750. And this is his other one. But this one was shipped in, whereas the other one was hand delivered. So we removed the transport lock screws, and they're different, I think. Oh, maybe they're the same. These ones look like they have bigger collars on them. Anyway, those prevent the mechanism from moving during transport. We'll start by opening the machine, and then I'll hook it up to my CRT monitor. We'll check it out, see how it plays. See whether it is in fact the heads are worn. Typically when video heads wear, they'll have problems with the higher frequency. They tend to clip and you end up with interference. But more so, they have problems playing back self-made recordings more than recordings made on other machines. And it's just a characteristic of the way the heads wear. Yeah, I would say this has got some problems. Not tracking up very well at all, is it? Let's take a look at the output from the heads on the scope. Well, we can see that the one head is certainly lower than the other. That's for sure. Yeah, I'm going to say that the heads are probably worn on this machine. You can see, I mean, the alignment is off a bit too, but that's not going to affect the picture to the degree that this has got the interference that this one's got. We'll try cleaning the heads a bit and see whether cleaning the heads will improve. I doubt it though. I think the heads are worn. And just like that, I fucked my only scope probe that I've got left. I forgot that it was hooked up to this thing when I hit eject, and this goddamn mechanism came out and guillotined my only good scope probe. So now I don't have a good scope probe. Shit. So I'll pop the shield cover off. I'm still pissed from my scope probe getting guillotined. You forgot about this thing, right? It comes out to here, but when you press eject, it does that. Why that plate is there is anyone's guess. I know why, just to piss off techs that are working on these things and lose their scopes in them. That's like a $40 set of probes or more. And I don't have another one that fits it. I got my cheap Chinese probe. I'll just clean it without taking that apart. Plastic is breaking off this damn thing as it is. I got my cheap Chinese scope probe, but the problem is the ends aren't interchangeable because well, they're a different size. So you're not putting a small probe onto or small clip onto a large probe. And these ones are a joke. These were good probes. I got a another Tektronix probe kicking around here somewhere that I got with the scope, but I've only got a single one, and it's a ×10. It doesn't have ×1 or ×10 switchable. It's a ×10 only. I gotta find it though, but I do have one kicking around here that'll work. It's just it's just a fixed ×10. So I'll try cleaning the heads on this unit. Get a piece of paper here and get some alcohol on it. The heads don't look to be dirty. This is another problem with these machines. If you're not careful, you can close them down like that and they'll load. You don't have to push any buttons on them, but if you don't get the tape in all the way, or if you push on it as the tape is loading, it'll try to load and then it'll kick it back out again. That was caused by the head drum still being wet and the tape stuck to it, so I just had to remove the tape and put it back in. Had a bit wet tape there, I guess. Yeah, if we look at the picture, this is worn heads. This is what worn heads look like. I'll show you. This is exactly what worn heads look like. This machine, the heads are worn, as we saw with the signal off the scope there a few minutes ago. As you can see, even with the signal relatively flat, and that's pretty close. It's not perfect because, well, it doesn't matter. You can see the output level from one of the heads is so much lower than the other. Right? When we saw this one go down, that head just clogged, and now it cleared up. But I'll show you the image on the screen, and you'll understand what I'm getting at here. So there's the picture. There's a perfect example of what bad heads look like. Right there. You can see all that streaking. Right? That's Super Beta's on. This is a Super Beta tape. If I turn it off, it's going to get even worse because the high frequencies are not being demodulated. Plus the fact the heads keep clogging there. But that's a sign of bad heads. The only way to fix this one will be to swap the head. And the chances of finding a new head for this one here are slim to none. So when you have an image that looks like you're seeing here, if I turn off that on-screen display, because it won't sync up anyway. But there you go. There's a prime example of what bad heads look like when they are worn out. This would be worse trying to play back self-recordings, incidentally. It'd be a lot worse trying to play back self-recordings. But that's a symptom you get when heads are bad. We look at the signal on the scope, you can see how much lower this one is, and it's just falling below the threshold. But it's not just the level that's bad. You can see this one here keeps intermittently clogging too. It's not just the level of the signal that's bad, it's the frequency response, because this is an FM recorded signal. So unfortunately this one here is pretty much a lost cause at this point. This machine was a 4-head machine. Most Sonys were not. Most Sonys were a 2-head. Some of them were a 3-head. This one was a 4-head machine. So it had 2 heads that were used for recording and playback for Beta 2 and Beta 3, and 2 heads that were used for Beta 1 on this one. And when you put it into special effects like pause and freeze frame, it would use one head from Beta 2, so I call it LP, but it's not. It's actually Beta 2, Beta 3, and one from the like a double azimuth head for the special effect. As you can see, even when I put it in pause, one signal is really low compared to the other. And of course, this one being a Beta 1 capable machine, if I had a Beta 1 tape that was not recorded in SHB, it would probably play that. Well, it might, depending on how badly worn the Beta 1 heads are. I'm just going to take this out of here before I forget it and ruin another scope probe. This is a Tektronix probe that I got with the scope. This scope was donated to me a few years back, and it had one probe. This is they're nice probes, but what I don't like is you can't rotate. Like, you know, you can't turn this piece around. You can pull it off, but as you can see, it's ribbed, so you can't spin it. So if you need it at a different position, you got to actually pull the probe off, remove it, and put it back on, and hope that it makes a connection. Because sometimes when I do that and I hook it up, it is not making a connection, and then I don't see anything. Good, okay, it's making a connection. So that's why I haven't used the scope. Also the fact that it's got a ×10. This is, of course, a original Tektronix probe. It's got a ×10 only attenuator. So it means I got to crank up the gain on the scope to see anything. And weaker signals won't get detected. Oh well, I'll have to invest in another set of probes, I guess. Some good ones, just so I can break them again in another machine like this. Well, I'll try the Beta 1 tape, just see how bad it plays. And I know it won't play because this machine does not support SHB, but let's see how bad it is. So here goes the Beta 1 SHB tape, because that's actually not playing too bad. So even though this is a super high band tape, oh, there's beta, super beta is off, and there's super beta on. Okay, so this machine will play SHB. It just won't play it as well as it could. But as you can see, the output is actually a little more balanced on this one. If we look at the scope again, the playback is okay in Beta 1. So our fault on this one is one of the heads is worn out, one of the 4 heads, and it's one of the Beta 2 heads that's shot. As you can see, that plays fine. But if I go back to the Beta 2 tape, you can see how bad that is. So we got a worn head on this one, unfortunately. So that's what happens on these old machines. People that want to keep these machines running forever are in for a sad surprise at some point, because video heads do wear out. They haven't made these for years. Compatible machine would be like an SLHF750 or any of the 4-head machines. The head drum could be, the head disc could be swapped on, but it has to be a 4-head for this one. I guess you could probably put a 2-head or a 3-head in. It just wouldn't have special effects, and it would not play back or record in Beta 1. But this machine probably still records okay in Beta 1 and certainly plays okay in Beta 1. It's just Beta 2, Beta 3 is no longer going to work. And as I say, good luck trying to find a head for one of these things. I know that when my SLHF1000, one of mine, the head drum seized up. The lower drum seized up, so I actually pulled the head drum out of an SLHF900 and put it into my SLHF1000. The 1000 had 2 flying erase heads, so it had an extra rotary transformer on top for the flying erase heads. So that's been left unplugged, obviously, because the 900 did not. But that's fine, because the only thing I use the machine for is playback of tapes. I don't record anything on Beta. I'm certainly never going to edit anything on Beta again, so I don't need the flying erase heads. I've still got the drum, and I've still got the disc for it as a spare, so I could keep the, I kept the drum, I put it back in the 900 as my parts machine, and kept the drum for that reason, that if I needed the disc, I've still got a good disc. But I won't be selling that to anybody. That's for my own use down the road if I ever need it, because I still have some beta tapes that I play. I do archiving, so I need to have a couple machines. I've got a couple machines at work that I use for archiving. Anyway, sorry I couldn't fix this one. This one's just beyond repair at this point, unless the guy that owns it knows where I can get an upper drum, or not an upper drum, a head disc. I certainly don't know any place to get a head drum for one of these. There's probably one kicking around on eBay at some ridiculous price, but that will be up to the guy that owns it, whether he wants to try to find one and whether he wants to spend the money. I'm going to end this one now because, as we've seen, there's nothing more that I can do at this point. I think from when putting the transport screws back in, as you can see, these don't come all the way off, these spacers. So you drop them down in the large hole and then slide them over to reattach them. The problem with trying to repack things that have got these bloody peanuts in there is that, well, when you take it out of the box, they all fall to the bottom. Unless you got a place that you can actually take them out and store them in to repack it, it makes packing these things just a pain in the ass, because you got to deal with all the stupid peanuts that have fallen into the bottom of the box. They're all over the floor now. I probably have 100 or so of them on the floor that I have to sweep up. I just hate these things. They should ban these goddamn things, because it's just a pain in the ass to deal with. Just a real pain in the ass to deal with this crap. I know it makes it easier for the shipper, because they just pour them in, but it's a real pain for anybody else that has to deal with it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.